dive in here because we've got a lot of things to cover. This is being recorded, so if you miss something and need to go back and pick it up, or if you know somebody that couldn't be on here, just let them know that we'll post the recording of this as soon as we're able to. So this is a tour of our most recent Well-Educated Heart website. And at the start, I have to give kudos to my daughter, Crystal, who is the designer behind all this. And I give her crazy things to do and she does it all beautifully. And so grateful for her. And she's here to, there may be things I don't even know that she's buried in the site. So I hope that she'll chime in if I miss something. We are going to allow questions during during this presentation. Use the chat, and I've got some wonderful women here that are going to kind of keep track of that and make sure that they interrupt me if I start to move off without answering your questions. So we want to make sure we get all your questions answered. If you've been around Well-Educated Heart for a while, you know that we keep changing websites, and the intention is always that it's going to make it easier for you. We're always trying to make things easier for you. And what I really hope will happen with this new site is that you'll be able to just come here. This is a grab and go kind of thing. If you are familiar with the philosophy, if you're an over planner, it's actually going to get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish here. So what I would love is for you to feel confident that if you wake up in the morning and you don't have a plan on your plate, that you could go in here and find however many worthwhile things that you want to present to your kids today, and it would be that easy for you. So I'm going to go through things. There was a shortened video in the Catch the Vision you may have gone through, but I find, preparing for this, I found things that Crystal's hidden in here that I didn't even know about. So I hope that this will be worth your time, and we will just get going. To get to this site, it is librariesofhope.com. If you go to welleducatedheart.com, it's going to redirect you. So this is the latest and greatest, librariesofhope.com. And this is the page, the main page. If you haven't watched the orientation videos, do take the time, because this is going to let you know what this is about. And if this isn't your thing, this is going to let you know right now before you spend too much time. But if you like what you see, then we hope that you'll just keep going, because everything is layered in here. I just want to call attention to our mission statement, or our purpose right here. We are dedicated to building a community of families who are learning to restore the lost art of educating hearts through the arts. We seek to preserve a culture of faith, freedom, and family, and a love of the good, the true, and the beautiful. And I'm sure a lot of you are noticing that society right now isn't giving you a lot to work with if you want to preserve that culture of faith, freedom, and family. The books that you're finding in your public libraries, the things on the bookshelves at bookstores. If we're going to do this, I knew that you would need a place to come to find resources to be able to accomplish this. And notice it's not just good, true, and beautiful sources. It's to culture a love of that. And that's at the heart of what we do with Catch the Vision. This philosophy of learning is to help our children, to help ourselves love those things that are good and true and beautiful. So the Catch the Vision course, if you haven't found it yet, it's free. It's right here. It's so worth your time, because this gives you the philosophy of learning, as well as helps to help you understand how to use the many, many resources that are in here for you. I couldn't teach the philosophy and not give you these resources to work with. Now, the Catch the Vision, I just want to make a point here of letting you know this is the same Catch the Vision that's on the previous website, but it has some important additional little talks in it. And so if you've gone to the previous one, you haven't lost anything. It's still here, but notice that there's maybe 5 or 6 new presentations that you'll want to pick up. And especially there's an important one at the end where I talk about the new Mothers of Influence community that's just formed in the Mighty Networks. This is where we go deeper. This is where we keep going on this journey, on this path. There's almost 1,000 women that are in that community, and you are all invited to be there. So it's just important you go through this portal to get to the Catch the Vision so that you have all the things that you need to be able to do that. Of course, there's a contact at the bottom of the page. Anything you need to reach out and talk to us about, it's right there on the home page. Now, the rotation is where all the resources are. And this really is designed for those of you who are using the rotation schedule. This is just a way to organize a massive amount of things in a way that makes sense. And basically, it covers the whole world and everything in it. So there's nothing that isn't covered within this rotation. It can unfold over a lifetime, but it gives just enough structure for your learning while allowing a lot of freedom for individualizing and customizing and learning in the way that we're designed to learn. So if you're not using the rotation, it doesn't mean that there aren't resources here that you can't use. It's just that you'll have to dig a little bit more to find them. And the way I liken it to, now, if you come here, sometimes people will say, well, do you have a book about so-and-so, or I'm studying this part of history, what do you have for that? It's not searchable that way. Think of it more like going to a restaurant. If you went into a restaurant and you said, do you have my mother's macaroni and cheese recipe? Or do you have my favorite Caesar? The waiter's just going to look at you like, you're going to go through your whole list of what you want. That's going to get you nowhere. You need to just look at the menu. This is what our restaurant is serving. And so have I caught every good book that's ever been written or every piece of music? No, but this is what I have to serve you right now. So come and look at the menu and choose. If you come here and you like what you're tasting, you like what you're eating, you're going to be safe picking everything, anything at all on the menu. Does that make sense? So don't come here with a specific thing that you're looking for, but rather come with that attitude of what's available here for me. Now, before I go to the next page, I just want to call your attention because a lot of you are using my book house and junior classics. Make a note of this button, complete reading record. I'm going to come back to that. But look what's here, my book house. Here's a PDF you can print out that's all organized by rotation that you can just give yourself a quick reference. And here's the stories that pertain to each of the topics in the rotation. And if you don't own the books, they are all available on Internet Archive now. And if you're viewing this online, you can just click on the book. And it's going to take you to Internet Archive, and you can read the book there. So my book house, Junior Classics, there it is at the bottom of your rotation schedule. You can print that out and use that. So let's go into January or month 5, since that's where we're at right now. And I didn't divide, to be able to simplify this, I put all the topics for 1 month on one page. It's our adult minds that really want to lay everything out very organized. We're only going to cover France this week. We're only going to cover American Revolution this week because we're afraid we're going to confuse our children by mixing it up. But our kids, our brains are designed to connect and organize information coming in. And at this stage, you're just trying to introduce them to a lot of different things. And when you're using teaching through stories, each one is self-contained and they're going to start connecting to it. So don't be afraid of being able to pull from anything within this month. I mean, you could pull from anything in all the months, but this is just a way to kind of narrow down the choices. I hope that makes sense. At the beginning of each month in the Facebook group and in the newsletter, I do just a little summary of what we're going to cover during the month. And it's right here on the page. You don't have to wait for that if you're planning ahead. This gives you the topics that we're going to cover and how they connect, why they connect. And if you notice, some of the words are bolded. Here's your topics for the month. We're covering American Revolution, France, Canada, Switzerland, gardening, and poetry. So it's right there for you to refer to at any time. Now, I put the Forgotten Classics Family Library right at the top as the spine of your learning because this is based on the writings from the heart educators from the late 1800s, the early 1900s. And this collection, this library that I've assembled for you, are their writings. When they talk about the stories that are going to be of benefit to your family, that's what's collected here. So this becomes the spine to me of your learning. And for a lot of your kids, this may be really rich. The sentences aren't short, they're complex. The vocabulary is much bigger than what you might be used to. Ease into it gradually if you need to. Give them little sample stories and help them become familiar. But I hear it all the time. Once you start using these stories and then you go back to recent stories, the recent ones are going to feel like kind of eating cotton candy. If you're a Charlotte Mason fan, she talked about ideas as being so vital. And these books are loaded with ideas. So this is just a core part of your day, is to draw from these stories. Now, I'm always asked, well, I have little children, which one should I use? These are arranged developmentally. So you start with the familiar stories, family, home, the imaginative stories of children, and then it moves into epic and legendary heroes and stories from history, stories of great lives. So I'm reluctant to say that these first stories are for your little kids and the later stories are for your older kids, because your older kids are going to benefit from these first books too. A well-written children's book will appeal to adults as well as to children. So don't be afraid to use all of the books, because they're all going to be of benefit and enjoyable to whatever age. The difference is your little children are likely not going to have the ability, the attention span to dive into the history books that come later. They've got some things to build up. But if you've got littles, look for these first books first, but don't close them off to your older kids. Well, maybe before I go there, I should remind you that all of these books open up to issue, where you can read a free digital copy of the book. And on my phone or on my tablet, I can just go straight from here, and it's a full screen. I can read the full screen of the text and just scroll that way. But do notice there's a download button. And we're seeing more and more people that are finding ways to use these PDFs to read the books and what works for them. Somebody just a couple of days ago said that they can download these books and use a search feature that, for instance, someone was looking for where DeKalb was mentioned in all the books, and it pulled up every book in the library where he is mentioned, or you could enter a phrase and pull it up. So being able to download these to PDFs is going to be a helpful thing for you. Also, some people are able to, I don't know how they're doing it, getting them into Kindle. There's kind of a formatting thing that goes off, but we're learning about these things. But you can see the PDF option now instead of the 2-page spread. You can just read them like that. And what else was I going to say about the download? Well, anyway, I was going to say about reading the children's book. If you came to Donna Nielsen's class last week, she talked about, as a scholar, she will always start with a children's book if she wants to learn something. And so, again, don't limit what these books are used for. And I also want to call attention to you that if you go to the very end, all of these books are organized according to the rotation. But at the very end, this just makes it convenient. There are books that don't necessarily fit into the rotation that you might want to draw from. So this is just a convenience thing for you. You can pull from the Story Hour series, Sunshine series, Nature Bundle, and etc.
We have a question. It says, I got confused when looking at books thinking they are in age level, but aren't they in order by age in sections?
It's not age level, and I have a really hard time trying to help get that concept. It's developmental level. So I talk about, connecting to something familiar. And the thing that's familiar for most of us is home and family and nature. And that's kind of the connecting point. If you have a child that is 17 years old, those things are going to connect to him. So it doesn't matter that he's 17. The other problem is if I say, Stories of Gardening is good for a 7-year-old. Well, first of all, the forgotten classics, if you looked at them, these are thick books. I wouldn't see handing one of these books to a 7-year-old and say, read it cover to cover. They're not meant to be read cover to cover. rather as read alouds. It's a way of getting a lot of stories into a smallest amount of space, but they are not by age. And you give me 10 7-year-olds and you're going to have 10 different levels of reading from that 7-year-old. Every time I say a book, a 4-year-old isn't going to like this, someone will say, my 4-year-old loved it. And so you have to know your child and go in and play around with the book. If you start to read it and they wander off, that's not a good fit for them. But I don't do them by age. It really is, hopefully your kids will get through pieces of all of these books before they're done. And so it's not age, developmental level, familiar to imaginative to heroic that I talk about and Catch the Vision. Does that answer that? Some have asked me where they can find all the series just on one page. They don't want to go to each of these pages. I do hope that you will use this navigation. And I just remembered something I skipped. So hold this thought for a minute. I'm going to take you somewhere else. Catch the Vision. If you go down to Continue the Journey, there's some things in it that we moved from the other site that you can navigate here. So let me show you. The reference library that I've talked about is here. But here's where you can find, if you want to use the free app, we still have the free app. It's a navigation tool. With the design of our new website, it's not as critical, but a lot of you are still making use of that free app. You can download it here. The Take Fives, you can connect to them by going to this page. The podcasts, this takes you to our main podcast page. And I hope that you'll notice here, there is a PDF of a list of all the podcasts if you want to be able to look and find them that way. So, you really just have to be curious. There's a lot of things buried all over the place here. You just have to keep clicking. The newsletter is here if you want to subscribe or if you want to access archived newsletters. All these are on that page, Catch the Vision, Continue the Journey. So now I want to go over to the rotation. And if you go down here to the Forgotten Classics by series, it's going to pull up this page. And here's all of the series that we have in the Forgotten Classics, arranged in the same order that they are on the website. And all of these, if you click on any of them, they're going to take you to the free digital read. So now you have them all in one place. So again, rotation, the Forgotten Classics by series. Okay, where were we? So, back in January. So if you want to buy hard copies of the books, this takes you straight to the store. If you like to have a book in hand, you can buy them set by subscription. You can buy them by series. You can buy them individually. One thing not everybody knows is when you get up to 5 series, whether by subscription or buying the series, you do get the Mother's Learning Library and 4 books like the Story Bible and the Storytelling book and Poetry book for free. So that might be something you want to keep in mind. Now, the reading record is really your menu for the Forgotten Classics for the month. And when you click here, it's just going to bring up the one for month 5. If you remember that button I showed you before, My Book House, that will give you the entire PDF of the reading record. If you want to print it out yourself, or you can go into the store and there is the reading record that you can just buy complete. But this takes you book by book, what is in there. And like I said, these books are not necessarily designed to be read cover to cover. And this helps you to see what's in there. You can choose, you can keep track of what you've read by using this reading record. And so print these out if you want. Some people are using, if you've got to provide proof at the end of the year of what you've read that year, color code it, make all of your things that you read this year, color them in red, and next year color them in blue. And that just gives you a quick reference to what you've read. But what I want to show you at the very end here, and I'll just scroll really fast down here. Some of you have asked, what if you got the Great Live series, the former one where it's by topic, or what if you have the Story Hour series that isn't divided by the rotation schedule? Well, here's the additional Forgotten Classics. Here's your Story Hour series. Here's all of the month 5 stories that well, they're all the ones that go with this topic. Here's the different books in the Story Hour series. There's one of the last books in the Freedom series has books from different months, so that kind of alerts you. Here's some more series stories in that book. Here's the great lives by subject. Here's the great artists that have stories that connect to the topics for month 5, stories of great humanitarians, and so forth. So that reading record is really valuable for you to be able to find things that you're looking for.
Mom?
I'm going to close. Okay, go ahead and answer a question before you ask it. No.
No, I was going to actually just mention that people have asked if I update those lists. I do update the monthly reading records, but I won't update the complete record until these series are done. And then I'll update that completing record as well as the hard copy book you buy in the store.
That's good to know. Yeah, I won't go there. We've got a lot to cover, but it is hard to keep things updated. So we do try to do it as much as we can. But yes, be aware this reflects where we are right now, which is we're almost done, right, Crystal? All right. Now this is all for reading. This is the Forgotten Classics. But if you want some audios, this next section are for audios to listen to. Now, these are the audios that I'm doing. If you hate my voice, don't go into any of these because this is me. But I'm within my budget. I can do this. So the reason both the My America Storybook and My World Storybook recordings are found in Belmond. The reason we have a separate link to them is because there are things on this page that are not in Belmond. Like if you want to print out the images to do notebooking with, they're on that page. And also, you'll notice this is in My America Storybook, not My World Storybook, but I added a little music feature, a little music section that you can enrich whatever you're learning. So if you want those things, you'll want to access it through those buttons. If you don't care, you can just go to Belmond and they're going to be in there. Now, Belmond is our listening library, and we started out with My Belmond. I just needed a place to kind of house the stories I was recording, but I've decided I want to spend a lot more time recording the Forgotten Classics. So you'll notice it now is FC Belmond. The FC stands for Forgotten Classics, and that's what this is going to link to when you click on that button is in the FC Belmond. And now you can see, if you want to know what recordings, what books in the Forgotten Classics I have recordings for, this will tell you because you'll recognize the cover. And as you go through this, always look for arrows. It's not always, it's just what's appearing on the page. Sometimes you'll hit some images that are just a color. These are recordings that I've done that are not in Forgotten Classics, but they're still, they're still great listens. So here's Gabriel and the Hour book. It takes you down to that particular one. Not everybody notices this or finds this. First of all, make sure you're using the navigation arrow to find all of the chapters. I just can listen. You can listen to them straight off here, or you can download them by chapter, or you can download the whole book at once and have it downloaded if that's what you need. Do notice that sometimes we add little things. Stay curious. This particular book had some images to go with it. So if you want your kids to have some pictures to look at, there they are right there. So we like to add fun things, but this is your listening library. Now we are transferring all the audios that were in My Belmond over to this new FC Belmond, but we're doing it as we're going through the rotation. So if you were to click on, and Crystal, I think we're still here. If you go to the months after month 5, you're going to still pull up the old site and not the new one, but we're updating it as we go through this year. I hope that makes sense. So listening library, I'm going to get rid. Any questions I'm not paying attention to while I update this?
They all say they love your voice.
Oh,
They love your voice. My daughter just came over to this meeting saying, I recognize that voice.
Well, I'm happy that I have a lot of things to read. I always say when you get tired of reading or you need to occupy your kids, send them on over to grandma's.
Well, that's what, there was
reading to
another one here. We love listening to you. My kids asked to listen to Grandma Marlene.
Well, Grandma Marlene loves to read to them. I'm happy for that.
And another comment, my families really love both of these storybooks. I think the number progression has really helped us because knowing what to do next is where we seem to get stuck. So
Perfect.
that's what you've missed.
All right. Now I showed you the main podcast page, but here the podcasts are separated out, divided out by the rotation. And this is the Well-Educated Mother's Heart podcast. I did these for you in mind, just to, acquaint you with books and stories and different people. These will all apply to month 5 topics, but some of your older kids, maybe your younger kids might enjoy listening to them. Just put them on and see what grabs their attention. But anyway, if you want some podcasts to add to your understanding of month 5 topics, this is where you can find them. So let's head down to the enrichment section. And enrichment is just that. These are the crafts, the movies, the art. And these are divided by the different topics. So let's go into France. And this, I hope you've already discovered and you found what's here. These are Pinterest pages to give you ideas, do a little French cooking. It's super hard for us to keep the Pinterest pages updated and the links working, but it can still give you some ideas. French cooking, we can do some crepes, we can do some quiche, we can do some eclairs, and you can look up a recipe. The internet's fantastic. So really just view this as an idea page. I know not all of you love to do crafts, but the creation of things is so important in this whole Well-Educated Heart philosophy. So again, use this as an idea board. You don't have to do exactly the crafts that are on here, but your kids, let them look through it and say, oh, I could do that. And busy hands open up their minds. It's a good time to listen to music, to listen to stories. And so this is just an idea board for you to use. The plays are I organize them from simpler to more complex. You might recognize, like if you've gone in my World Storybook, well, Polisi's in a couple of places throughout the library. And here's a little play that you can put on, but use it as a reader's theater. This can be simple. There's something to be said about a child using their voice to create the character, express emotion. And if they're using a play, they can get into character and think like that character is thinking. You can bring neighbors in. This has a lot of characters, but you could even assign one person several characters and then have them go through, just print it out and highlight their parts and get together and do a little reader's theater. But it's just another way to add enrichment to what they're learning. And then here's the movies, variety of movies. You'll find a lot of old movies in here. And an instructive thing is let them watch the old movies and then watch the new movies and talk about the differences. The movies are, well, I always say they look like they've been filmed by a monkey with a camera on its back. It's just this constant moving. And as opposed to the old movies, they're really studying the faces. They unfold slowly. There's a lot more character. And it's good for your kids to see the differences. So I make no apologies for having a lot of old movies. They may not sit through the whole thing, but they can be really useful as you are introducing them to a lot of these things. And like I said, let them compare the old and the new. Some of the old ones may be hard to find, but there are a lot of outlets now. You check Internet Archive, sometimes has them. YouTube, your library might have them. Just use different, different, what is it? Sources, there you go. To see if you can find it. And if you can't find a movie, don't worry about it. There's a lot other ones to choose from. And when you click on any of these movies, it's going to take you to IMDb. And there's a lot of information. I am not screening these movies. I'm not going to tell you that your family should watch every one of these movies, because there might be things in there that you don't like. And I don't know why this isn't letting me navigate down for you. But there's trailers on here, there's reviews. And the most important thing that I would call your attention to is the parental guide. I think it's called the parental guide. And it will go into details, swear words, vulgarity, and just things that you can use to decide if this is an appropriate movie for your child. There are a few R-rated movies like Schindler's List that I have think have great value in them. But this isn't you're the parent, you're the gatekeeper. You know what you want for your kids. But here are a lot of ideas to go along with the things that you're studying in the rotation. The next section is going to lead you to art in the Simple Joy Arts site. The family side is for that. It just shows you home life in France at the time of these artists painted these pictures. Here's just a thumbnail gallery, and you can see, the names of it. But if you click on any of them, it's going to take you to a gallery. And if you use the enlarge button, full screen, and now I've lost my navigation. Here it is. That you can view this artwork full screen. And I'm hearing from moms that are able to cast these things up on their TV screen so that you can see larger versions of these. You don't have to just look at them all on your phone or your tablets. But if you find one you really like, notice that if you click back here, this is going to take you to Wikimedia Commons, and you can download the picture, and everything that we include in our Simple Joy Art site is in public domain. That means you can use it any way you want. So print the pictures out, use them any way you want. But that's the art. And here's history images. I haven't done as much work getting the history in as I have the family, but we keep adding to these all the time. And this is a way for you to access them. The music section, do notice there's arrows. There's not just one entry here. And again, I looked for variety for you to view. These are YouTubes. You could put them up on your TV. Here's an instant little music experience for your kids for a few minutes. Or maybe here's an hour's worth of French cafe music that you can listen to while you're doing a craft or while you're, cooking a French dinner. Just look through them. Sometimes some of the moms have put these on a Spotify list, and you can listen that way. But I chose YouTubes that are going to add interest. There's something really wonderful to be able to watch that orchestra performing and having your kids be able to see the instruments that are producing the sounds. So, if you have 5 minutes, take it, project it up, watch it. Here's some animated ones just to help get them acquainted. Did I find every French composer? I didn't. If you find one, go Google and find some more music of whichever ones your kids like. But again, it's a grab and go opportunity to have a musical experience. And if you want to add a little bit more music appreciation to it, the Music and Story always has a link to the North Carolina Youth Symphony program notes. Very short, very sweet. Read it, or you can just get some ideas to share with your kids to enhance their listening experience, know a little bit about the composer. I'm going to just close these again. And these are all in the symphony books also. But again, I looked for variety, and here's a picture of Debussy playing this piece. So, don't just listen, look at the YouTubes if you can, and it's just going to increase the experience. Now, the footer. A lot of people ignore the footer, but there's a lot of good things down here. I know going with a new site, you love things that are familiar to you. If there's something where you know where it is in the classic site, one click and you are back there. Now, the first time you go through, it looks okay, it pops up, it's going to redirect you to the new website. If you go to welleducatedheart.com, it's going to redirect you to the website. Just click on the little X, and there you are back home. This is just going to stay up for we don't have plans of taking it down. The thing is, we're not updating it. It's kind of frozen in time. But if there's something that where it is on this site, it's as simple as clicking in the footer and you're right back there. So, it's not gone anywhere. You can get back there. Now, some of you have asked what books that they found that in our Forgotten Classics family library that they're not aware what's in the library, and they've gone out and bought books and then found out that they already own it. They already own that book on their shelf. So we created this source list. This gives you all of the books. This one is sorted by author. These are all the books that I drew from to put into the Forgotten Classics family library. I drew from 761 books. That's what you've got to go to. And if you find a book that you like, this is like a bibliography to you of these books from the golden age of children's literature. They're all found in Internet Archive. They are all public domain. And so this gives you a guide to go through, and you'll notice the stars by these books. There are 299 complete books within your library. So you can print this out. There's a guide, a key at the top over on the side. Let's see, mine's kind of hidden. Well, if you want to know where those stories are, that tells you which book of the Forgotten Classics to go to. There's your key. I will say that sometimes there's a book that is found in several different Forgotten Classics series, but I only put one. So, if you like the story from that one and you want to read more, just go look for the book in Internet Archive and find more stories. So, use that in any way you want to. But it's there for you for the taking down here. You can do it by author or by title. Now, these little buttons down here, that takes you back to our Facebook group. We do have an Instagram account, and that's where I put artwork and quotes for inspiration. You can share those out. I kind of haven't done any recently, but we'll get back there. We have a mom that creates those. I give her the quotes and she puts those up, and those are fun.
Hold on, Marlene. Can you show them once again, just highlight where they found the lists, where you found the lists down at the bottom?
Oh, yes.
A couple people were just wondering where it was.
Right here, Forgotten Classics source material. You can print it out by author, or you could print it out by title of book. Is that the question?
That's in the footer of the website. So
in the footer of the website. So any page on the website, you can go down and find that here. Any page. Footer stays constant. Instagram, Pinterest page. Maybe you don't want to go to each individual page. Here's my master Pinterest page. Anything you want to find is right there. And this one, a lot of times people will say, you did a video on such and such, where is it? Every video that we've ever created is in YouTube, and go to videos, and this gives you a quick place to find it. This has old presentations that aren't anywhere anymore. But if you are looking for a specific video and you want a quick place to find it, just go to this page, and there it is. Okay, any questions that I've missed while I get rid of some of these open windows again?
There was a question asking if YouTube videos are screened.
If they're screened?
I think.
Yeah, if they're screened. I just responded that everyone has different standards, so it's always best to screen them for yourself. That you may. So yes, they have been watched, but it may or may not be appropriate. We try to keep them appropriate, but some people have different standards.
Oh, you mean like the music?
Yeah, on the music, yes.
So I'm very mindful of it. Now, one thing that's happening, and I don't know completely the answer, the ads. I don't have control over ads that pop up, and we're kind of having to navigate that. But I'm mindful of your kids, and if they are likely going to be the ones to watch it, I'm going to be pretty careful what I put out there. Well, what do I have? I have music videos that's not going to have something.
Well, we had that one that 20 minutes into it had a lady that was painted, and I think there was a disclaimer on it. I think there's a disclaimer on that one.
Okay.
I think that was the only one that was a problem.
We really try, but there's not going to be anything that's going to be horrid. But always, you're the gatekeeper. You're the mom. If you're really, concerned, you take the time.
Someone asked if you have transcripts on the videos that you do. Do you want to show them where we put the transcripts for your videos?
Crystal, would you like to show them? Where did we put that?
It's on the main Catch the Vision page. Because that's
Okay.
where most of your videos are, the Catch the Vision videos.
Okay, so if we go to the Catch the Vision page, and on the bottom of the welcome page,
Gotta wipe up this stickiness.
there's the checklist that if you want to keep track of what you've watched and listened to, there's a checklist, but there's the link to the transcripts. So the transcripts to the Catch the Vision are there. We don't have all the transcripts to the podcasts posted. We have to work on that.
And then also someone is asking about the My Book House and junior class references. Can you show that again really quick? I know you showed that earlier, but they're wondering where those are.
So we're going to go back to the rotation page. So here's the general rotation page. Just scroll down to the bottom of it. There's My Book House. There's Junior Classics. Okay.
You're all caught up now.
All right, let's go back to month 5 because we are now ready to. My son-in-law laughed at me. I said, really, the way to get through this website is just to click on all the clickables. So assume that if there's something there, you click on it and see what happens when you click on it, because there's just all kinds of things here for you. So these are not just little pictures here. They lead somewhere. Here's more resources. Mothers of Influence is going to take you to this month's topic, which we're talking about this. Right at the top, here's your Mother's Learning Library. You click on it, you're going to be able to read the digital version of it. This isn't a straight go through. This is for you to pick and choose things that are going to inspire you, things that you're ready for. Some of you have more time than others. Maybe watch a little YouTube video. And again, I just be sure that you're watching for these arrows, because there's more than one video on these sections. So do pay attention to that. There's books to read. If you scroll over them, it gives you a little preview of what the book is. And if I'm able to link you to a book, click on it and it will take you straight there. If you're doing Delphian and want to read according to what we're studying, there's the references to you. There's articles you can read, things that you can listen to. The Mother's Learning Library, someone's asked, or the Mother's University, someone asked if I have checklists for this. I don't, because we want to constantly add and take away and change and make this a place that you can come and constantly find things to enrich and enhance your understanding of the things that we're doing. But that button will take you to this month's. This little heart takes you to exactly the same place as this in the footer. Both of these will take you back to the Classic Well-Educated Heart site. You're there in a second. All right. So now let me look at my notes for just a second and make sure that I haven't missed something, because show complete list by hard copies.
We have
Okay.
one more question before
Yes.
you go on. I have a question about Catch the Vision. Is there more info in the books or different info than in the course on the website?
The books, the reference bundles have tons more in them. There is a lot, that's like everything in the kitchen sink. Anything I could think of, I put them in those books. And again, they're not designed to be read cover to cover. It's go and find something that, will feed you in the moment. They're there to inspire you, to remind you. So yes, the reference books have a lot more. It includes the transcripts from the Catch the Vision, but there's a lot more in there.
But also, the reference library would not have anything that we don't have copyright to. So YouTube
Correct.
videos or things like
Like
that.
the Gordon Neufeld presentation that we all love. I don't have a transcript to that because I don't have the copyright permission to do that. Also, we will add another volume. There have been podcasts and things since that was printed, and eventually we'll add another volume that will give you access to those as well. So that's a good question. All right. So in the Classic Well-Educated Heart site, when you wanted to look at the books, and I've got a bar in the way here. A little bit more. You would go to the rotation schedule, And, we're here month 5, and there were just so many pages you had to click through, which is why we went to this new format, but it's still here. Divided the books out by introductory, intermediate, advanced. There's still a book list. There's still podcasts. There's still, I would highlight a few books. You can go back and look at that. But I've been asked, where did all of these books go? And this is different than the Forgotten Classics. These are over 4,000 books that I found online that are largely connected to Internet Archive, but they're divided out by these different categories: legendary, epic, heroes, cultural. And to access these books, of course, you would click on the little icon next to it, and it would take you to the book that you're wanting. All of these books, all of them are now here in BiblioGuides. They're all transferred. And so comparatively few of you are using this resource. And I can't even begin to tell you all that's in here or the miracle that this is. But I want to highlight a few things to show you how to get around to find these things that you're used to and what else is in there, because this is incredible. Tanya Arnold, one of the creators of BiblioGuides, is here on our chat, and she can answer questions that you may have, but we could spend a whole nother hour just exploring BiblioGuides. But let me highlight just a few things. This is my page. Notice there's demo videos, so you can go in and learn more about getting around. And I haven't even plumbed the depths to this site yet. I keep going in and I keep learning a little more and a little more. But who's contributing books to this site? Here's your guides. And you can choose, if you don't want to have recommendations from certain ones of these groups, you can choose and not have them. If you want to know who they are, here's Choose Your Guides. And it tells you a little bit about each of these organizations, I guess you'd call it. And I include all of them because they all are concerned with the same things I am. I want wholesome books. I want books that reflect the values that we are embracing here at Well Educated Heart. So I open myself to, and that's one of the benefits, is you're not just getting the books that I recommended, which are largely from pre-1923. You're going to get a lot of the books that are more recent. So you can use your library more and they can call attention to it. So that's who's adding to this. If you want the quick search, remember I said, if you are wanting to come in and say, I'm looking for a book about a certain person, a keyword, title, author, that will take you there that fast. But here's a couple of things I really love. The browse book section. I've got to move my navigation bar again. Look at all these different possible ways that you can start browsing books. A lot of you are looking for, I've got things in the way that you don't have. You're looking for reading level books, and this will help to focus in on those books according to reading levels, which I don't do, but they do. So this is going to help you with that. Look at this. Look at this page to go and browse. This is a page of centuries. And I just finished recording the Joan of Arc story. So you can go down here, and she was in the 15th century. And I want to find out what else was happening in the 15th century. Now, when I was doing this before, my computer loads slowly, and there are so many books on this page, it was too slow. So I'm not going to open it. You can open it yourself. And you might say, oh my gosh, that's so many books, I can't choose. But which one of you goes to your public library and walks in and says, oh my gosh, there's so many books in here, I'm going to leave? This is a library. And you are now going to be able to choose. This is your 15th century library bookshelf that you can now start opening up books and looking around and finding just the right one that you say, I think that's the one. And you can start to read it and say, no, that's not, that's a little advanced, or that's a little young. Put it back on the shelf and find another one. That's amazing, especially for a lot of you that want to dive deeper in something that you are learning. That's a quick way to do it. And just so another one in the browse books, if you go into the BiblioGuides list, these are curated lists. Someone just today asked, are there some Valentine books that I can trust? I don't trust the ones that I'm seeing on websites. So look, here's some Valentine books. These are all through this, what we're trying to do with the preserving the good, the true, and the beautiful. These are books you can trust. And if you only want the books that I've happened to see, just because I haven't put my little heart on it doesn't mean it's not a good book. It could mean I just haven't seen it yet. And I have a feeling I put my heart on everything because I haven't found anything that I didn't like. So this just gives you a tremendous resource to go to. This is like your home library to be able, and when I say home library, Tanya can tell me a vast majority of these books are available as free digital reads because a lot of them are older books that are in Internet Archive now. Here's another one, the resources. Let's do the free download. Some of you may have seen the announcement. Look what they did for our Well-Educated Heart community. The Landmark series are incredible, wonderful books written in the 50s and 60s that will bring history to life for your kids. And I put them into the rotation, into the online library because they're such great books. But I knew that they were hard to come by. And at the time, they weren't in Internet Archive. And it was hard to get the hard copy. So that made me sad. Well, guess what? Biblio guides, you can print this out. Here are all the Landmark books sorted by rotation. Here's the year that it takes place if you're trying to find something. But notice this, free. This means you can now access this book in Internet Archive. And there's even audios of some of them. I mean, that just makes me want to cry. What this opens to enrich your kids and to bring history to life for them. So you can print that out as a guide or just come access it by going there.
We have a couple questions. How
Yes.
do you get onto it? How do you get access to it?
Hold on to that question. And if I haven't answered it before we leave, I'll come back. I just want to show you first what's inside.
Another one, are all the Biblio guide books public domain? How do they select titles for Biblio guides?
They're not all public domain. And okay, that's a bigger question I want to answer. I may have Tanya do it, but 4,000 of the 10,000 books in there came from Libraries of Hope. How did I choose them? Well, a lot of searching, searching the recommended books at the time and familiarizing myself. These ladies that are doing Biblio guides know books, and they have the same values that are represented in the Well-Educated Heart community. And again, you can choose your guides. You can choose to just limit it to whichever one. But Biblio guide, and I'm going off. Let me show you something first, and then we'll go back there, because I wanted to show you how to access the books that I showed you in our old site where they are now. Go into advanced search. And scrolling down, you see there's a lot of options for putting the parameters of the books that you're looking for. But I'm going to take you down to the Well-Educated Heart section that we have here. And you can say, I only want Well-Educated Heart books if you want, but I'm going to just open it up and show you. If I want just to look at all the books from month 5, they're going to pull up for me. I'm just going to go here to month 5. And that's all I'm going to put on as my parameter. I'm going to submit it. And you can view these as a list, or you can do cover view. You can play around with that. But look at this. I have all these books. Some of these books you would find in your library. Some are in Internet Archive. Some you might need to buy, but there's 187 of them. So that's too many for me. I want to narrow down my search. So I'm going to go back to Well-Educated Heart and genre. Here's where, remember how I had them divided out in the old website? Here they are again. Beginning readers, this is audios, biographies, classic lit. Those are the same exact categories I had in the old site. So you can choose which one you want. A lot of you like picture books because you can find them in the library. So let's go to picture books. And I want to narrow it down to, I just want France. Whoops, I don't want Abraham Lincoln. I want France. So I'm going to narrow the parameters, Interest level, I'm not going to use, but there's those introductory, intermediate, advanced. These aren't reading levels. These are the general levels that I had in the previous site. But since picture books are going to be level, I'm just going to leave that off. Now let's see what pulls up. Here's picture books that have to do with France that you can now click on. And well, let's go down here and I'll show you. We'll open up a page. Clown of God. And notice this little thing over at the side. I'm going to click on Clown of God. This tells me that this book is still available in print, so I might be able to buy the book. There's a free copy online, and it's going to tell me back. This one, it's going to give me that information. It has an audiobook. So you'll be able to find out where you can get this book. There's a sample of what it looks like inside to give you an idea. It tells you about the book. There's so much information in here. Reading levels, content guide. There's so much you can learn about each book. Now, you can add the books to your list. If you can add it to a wish list. If you order the book, you can keep track of the books you've ordered this way. I clicked it. I know I have this book on my shelf, so I clicked it as a book that I own. Now, as you start growing your libraries, I bet you have this problem. You forget what books you owned. This is going to help you keep track of that, so that if I'm looking through picture books, that showed up, that I own that book on my shelf, and I can go pull it off and read it. It can help you keep track of books that you've read. And all of these things, you can create lists and then just go over to your account and pull them up right there, like that. And you asked about content considerations, and I'm trying to look. Let's close this. Review this book. This gives you a chance that if you found something in the book that you objected to or kind of raised an eyebrow, put it in your review, put it in so that you can share with other parents. This is a place for parents to come together and share what their favorites are, what they love, and help you in making choices. I'll tell you what I'm noticing in our group. Someone will say, I have a 7-year-old, what book do you recommend? And the same handful of books will come up. Or I am looking for, this period in history, and the same 4 or 5 books will come up. This biblioguides, you can see, will expand what you can share with your kids. You're going to find things that are wonderful that are hidden right now. And it's the searchability of this site that makes it so incredibly valuable. And like I said, we could spend a whole another hour on it. And I hope I haven't, I hope I've just piqued your interest in it. But now you asked how you get into it. How do you join? The thing about biblioguides is there is a membership fee, and that's kept some people away from it. But it amounts to about, if you pay for an annual, about $6 a month. That's less than you're paying for a dozen eggs right now. And look at what you're getting for that. And I think the thing that maybe some people don't understand, what biblioguides has put together, all of these things I've offered to you, I offer to you for free, but it isn't free at all for me to offer it to you. This is one way. If you go through the portal right here and sign up for biblioguides, a portion of your monthly subscription fee will come back to support the work of Libraries of Hope. And I really appreciate that a lot. If you're saying, well, I don't know if I want to do that. If you just look at it a way to support the work of Libraries of Hope and support these women that are doing biblioguides, I hope that you will find the value to be able to do that. But having said that, I know that there are some of you that budgets are so tight, and we don't want that to be a barrier for you to come in and be able to find these books for your family. So just reach out to me and let's talk. What can you contribute? And there are, in extreme cases, there are scholarships available. Don't let the money keep you from using it. Who won't use biblioguides? The only ones that I could see who wouldn't have need of it is if you don't read any books. If you don't read any books, you don't need biblioguides. If you're reading books and you're seeing what kind of the landmine that's going on in our public libraries right now, this resource is going to become more and more valuable and important for you to have. So if you go through the portal right here in our website, a portion of your subscription will come back to support the work of Libraries of Hope. If you go to biblioguides.com and go through the front door, you're still supporting a great work. I just won't get a portion of that. So to sign up for it, just click on that. When I click on it now, it brings me to my page because I'm signed in. If this is the first time for you, when you click in, it's going to take you to a page that you'll be able to sign up and be able to access BiblioGuides. So there you have it. Everything is on one page. If you can think of something that we've left off, let us know, because our intention is that you can come to this one place and, like I said, wake up in the morning and say, I don't have something planned, but I know where I can go quickly, put some things together that my kids are going to have something that's going to inspire their hearts today, and it's going to make it for a good day. So I hope that has helped you. I see 59 chats. I don't know how many of those are questions.
We have a couple. This one might be for Tanya. Will we know if a book we recommended to BiblioGuides was approved?
We're still working on a way to develop that. We have a lot of people sending in recommendations, and this might be something for Marlene as well. So we will look on finding a way to let people know. It's just a lot of emails to respond to. We also get recommendations oftentimes from Well-Educated Heart members that not only think the book is a great book for BiblioGuides, but a great book for Well-Educated Heart. So they'll say to us, this should be a Well-Educated Heart book. And so, we'll talk with Marlene about how to pass on those recommendations to her if she wants to add her link information to any given book. The other way that you can watch is every week we release books. And so if you see our Saturday email, all of the books that were released that week show up in that email on a certain page. And so you can also just be watching what's being released and add that. If you see it show up, then you could add it.
Also, this probably is also for you. My BiblioGuides gives 2 boxes for every list category. Anyone know why?
I don't know why that would be. If you're seeing something funny that you think you shouldn't in your account, just email in to support@biblioguides.com and we'll look into it for you.
And they are the best. This team that is doing BiblioGuides, they're here to serve you, and they are so open to your suggestions and your questions. I did forget one more thing that I wanted to show you. I mean, again, look at the parameters that you can set for books that you're looking for. Character traits. So a lot of you are doing Good and Beautiful, and I love that Good and Beautiful are reprinting so many incredible books that have been out of print. So if you want to see what Good and Beautiful might have that they've reprinted, the Good and the Beautiful, just enter it into the publisher, make that part of your parameter. And, let's go back to Well-Educated Heart. I want to see if Good and Beautiful has something that's going to pertain to my month 5. We're going to go back to month 5. Get off there. Well, let's go back to France. Let's see if there's something for France. And I just want, for France. Let's see what pulls up. There. These are all books that The Good and the Beautiful has reprinted. And if you click on it, again, it's going to give you information. You can read that book for free online if you want to. It gives you a sampling of the level of reading, so you can preview that, this description, how it connects to France. I wondered how that connects to France. Well, there it is. And there it is, the reprint from Good and Beautiful that you can add.
Marlene, can I share 2 other things really quick?
Absolutely.
In terms of the Good and the Beautiful, on their reprinted books, we always put the original book in first. And so we think it's really nice when you're kind of wondering about the Good and the Beautiful books to understand where they came from, like when that book was published and who wrote it. So BiblioGuides, they don't provide that information on their site, but BiblioGuides will show you, this book was, I can't see the publication date on it right now, but probably published in the 50s or 60s. So that's kind of fun about the Good and the Beautiful. And then the second thing is if you do join BiblioGuides and you don't think you joined through the Well-Educated Heart page, which gives credit to Marlene, then you can email into us and let us know that you were referred by Well Educated Heart, and we will switch you over so that Marlene does get the credit. So if you ever see anybody asking that question too, you can let them know that, so that we can make sure that Well Educated Heart members are being connected how they're supposed to be.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. You know, the more you use something, the more familiar it becomes to you. I hope, I won't say this is the last website. Well, Crystal hopes this is the last website we create for a long time. But we hope that it will put these resources in a way that it's easy for you to access them and to use them in your homes. And always reach out with any questions that you have. And, you know, so we appreciate all the good work you're doing in your homes. And I think we might do a little forum on maybe sometime on using, being able to use the Forgotten Classics, using the PDF, you know, putting them into formats to be able to use them in ways that other people are finding. My brain is done. I guess my brain is done. I can't form a sentence anymore. So it's time for me to quit.
Just 1 minute then. Biblioguides has one thing to say, and then would you mind sticking on? Jen still has a question about the developmental. So if Jen can stay on, and anyone else who wants to hear
Well, and
that.
I'll answer anyone who can stay on, but yes,
So Tanya, go ahead.
Marlene, will you just log in to your Biblioguides one more time? I just want to show members the one place where I think is really important for Well Educated Heart members. If you're on yours, if you go over to the upper right hand corner to your account. Oh, you're on your dashboard. Yeah. And go to your dashboard. Okay. And then scroll down.
Okay.
And on the left hand side under your guides, if you'll click on Well Educated Heart. So this is the Well Educated Heart landing page for all members. And this will provide videos that are specific for Well Educated Heart members. And wait, if you just want to browse the books, or if you want to do a search like you had done and combine terms, everything is here. And any recently added Well Educated Heart books show up here. So you can just, we're adding Well Educated Heart books daily because there were 4,000 of them and we're a good chunk through. Of the 4,000, we had about 2,000 already on the site. And so we just had to go through and link all those. So I share that just so you have an understanding that we have a really similar vision and focus to Marlene as to what makes a good book. Then we had about an additional 2,000 to add. And it with all the information you see on a book record, it's just a lot of effort to get a book on the site. So we're still consistently adding. There's probably, I don't know, there's probably 3,000 or 3,500 on the site. But that's how you can just see everything that relates to Well Educated Heart. And we'll be adding to this site the custom lists that we create for Well Educated Heart members. So if you're just like, I just need to get to the Well Educated Heart section and I just want to play in that section, this is where you would go, is to the dashboard specifically for Well Educated Heart members. And then there's like the whole world of Biblioguides outside of that.
They layer as badly as we layer.
Yes.
It's you just can keep exploring. Just be curious, because there's a lot in there. And Tanya, I hope you don't mind me saying it, but Tanya was in the original Mothers of Influence group with Marley and Jen. So she's a friend of Well Educated Heart for a long time, and definitely shares our vision. So we're grateful. And Kaylin, Sarah, all of them, the whole team is just, they're incredible women, and we love them. All right, a developmental question.
Jen, can you unmute yourself? And it might be easier for you to talk it out than try and type it out.
Okay.
If she's still here. Oh, I see you, and I see you're unmuted.
Her mouth is moving, and
her mouth is moving, but I can't hear anything. Oh no. So she was
she can message me if that's easier,
okay.
Unless we can get her. Or is there a question that you can kind of relay?
So she was still asking, did that work, Jen? I saw you doing something. Did that fix it? Oh, now we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I had something plugged in, so I needed to unplug it. I just had a question about how I know that the books are listed on the website as in a row, kind of. You have to click on the next book. So it's not easy to hard, right? It's the developmental way that it's listed is by, I don't know how to put it exactly. So it's the series of art or great lives or anything like that, that it's listed by developmental that way, correct?
It is organized developmental, but it's never meant, I mean, all of this is meant to pick and choose. It's not start at the beginning and read through for anyone that, you
Right.
might pick a fairy tale. Well, and that's those are things that we talk about more in the Catch the Vision when I talk about the developmental levels. And it's not something we're so used to reading levels. It's a hard switch to make, that each builds upon itself. You always look for the familiar thing to connect with. And then you're building the imagination. A child really can't take in history if they don't have a good imagination. So you're always, finding fairy tales and things, all those books that will build the imagination. They all build on each other. And these developmental levels is really at the heart of a lot of what the hard educators taught. And I'm just trying to relay it in a way for our brains to comprehend when we're so stuck in reading levels. So
so the scroll, you start with like familiar and kind of move into imaginative and then to heroes and then to history.
Exactly. So they are organized in that way, but you don't have to read through. How do I explain? I mean, well, it maybe complicates it more than you need to. Find a book that you like, open it and see if your kids like it, and then read it.
Yeah.
That's really the simple version, because if they're not ready for it, they'll let you know.
Okay, well, I kind of wanted to understand a little bit more about that, but I understand what you're saying and I totally agree. So I just see the fine arts or Book of Delights, and then I scroll down and see some more levels, I guess, in the reading, and then I see the classic lit, and I thought that was interesting, because aren't those a little bit more like the Book of Delights, because they're a little bit more for the younger developmental?
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy, isn't it? And the reading, so my fine art is later, because those are for older children. I mean, the stories are more complex. The subject matter is more complex. So the best thing I can say is familiarize yourself with the books. You don't get hung up in this idea of developmental level. Generally, they're organized because then I can say to a mom, I've got little children, where shall I start? And I would say, start with Book of Delights and with fairy tales. That's really the most important thing that matters. But as you go through, your child, and open up, and you don't have to do it in order. There's nothing. In fact, within a single volume, there will be several different levels of appeal. And I know that puts more on you as a mother in a way, but really it's as simple. If you start to read it and your kids are glazed over, you aren't at a good spot. And put it away. It will maybe be better in a later time.
And I'll just complicate things more, saying story hour series should be there too, but since it's not sorted by rotation, it's at the end rather than at the beginning. It should be with the Book of Delights.
Right.
Okay.
We couldn't put the story hour in that because it's not sorted by rotation. So that's why I call your attention to it. The reading guide will help remind you that there are story hour stories you might draw from that are going to be geared more to younger children too. That they're not as complex. But, when I say that, I enjoy them as an adult. So, you don't say I have a whole high schooler, so I'm not going to read story hour series. You just understand that it's going to be more simple. It's not going to be as complex of thought as the later books are.
Yes. Well, I guess the reason I asked was just because my kids do like to pick up the books and look through them. And,
Awesome.
it's helpful to know where I can kind of guide them to, but I understand what you're saying. We can just.
Well, if you've got kids that are picking up and reading them, have at it. There's nothing forbidden to them. And that's what I said. Every time I try to, help and put it into something, someone will say, my 6-year-old loves Tappan's World story. They love it. And who am I to say, I don't want to stand in the way. That your kids are the ones that, and you and your kids know if this is the right book for them. So
Oh, thank
that's
you.
awesome that they're picking them up and reading them. There's nothing bad in them. Well, I say that there's nothing bad, but when you get into history, there's bad things in history. People are chopping people up, and if you don't want your 4-year-old to do that, then keep them away from history for a little while. Although things like that happen in fairy tales, right, Shannon? With the little brothers walking along and acts as his little sister in the forest, and no, not like that.
That one was not included in the fairy tale stories, by the way.
It got axed.
It got axed, so that's not in there.
And the sister did come back to life, if that's any redeeming value.
Yes.
All right.
Well, that looks like you're caught up on all the actually one just popped up. I also see the Story Hour series as a high-level overview of the entire Forgotten Classics library. There's something for everyone, and it's a great way to see what piques kids' interest.
Yes, thank you. I did that towards the beginning because the rest of the library wasn't done. And if you haven't looked, if you go on the Forgotten Classics, oh my goodness, Crystal, where did we put those? They should be there. I have 2 videos on the Forgotten Classics, and I go through each of the series and I talk about them. And if you haven't, they're in the Catch the Vision course. If you haven't found them in section 5 and you want to learn more about the Forgotten Classics, that'd be a good place to go. All right. I think what time is it? Like 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah, but they want to listen to you all day long. But you have another meeting to go to.
Oh, do I? Is it time? All right.
Almost.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope it was of use. I hope that there was something that you learned from this. And I did. Crystal's amazing at what she buries in things, and it was fun to discover. Crystal, did I cover it all?
Did you just learn that I'm amazing?
No, I always knew you were amazing.
I told her a long time ago.
I told you a long time ago. We love you. All right. We'll sign off. Thank you so much. And we'll post this for posterity or whatever. All right. Bye-bye.